I know. Thank you. You're funny. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brian Fisher, the Chief Communications Officer for Prince George's County. Gotta get used to saying my new title. We're here today to talk about the recent car crashes and the fatalities in the county, and we're reaching out to you, the media, asking for you to connect us to your audience so that we can avoid further tragedies. Joining us today, be speaking with you, be our County Executive Aisha Braveboy, Prince George's County Police Chief George Nader, Colonel Michael A. Jackson of the Maryland State Police, Acting Director of Public Works and Transportation, Ms. Olashe Olabenle, our DCAO of Homeland Security and Public Safety, Mel Powell, and in the back here we have from our County Council, Mr. Ed Burrows. So speaking to us first is going to be our County Executive, Aisha Braveboy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brian. And good afternoon, everyone. I want to begin by offering our deepest condolences to the families, loved ones, and friends of those who we lost this week, and to not only to them, but everyone who has lost their life on a roadway here, throughout our state and our country. You know, when I was state attorney and I prosecuted these cases involving individuals who were at fault drivers, these were some of the toughest cases because oftentimes the individuals who were at fault had not ever committed another crime, and they did not intend, obviously, to hurt anyone or themselves in some cases. But it was the decisions that they made that led to tragedy. And so there had to be accountability when appropriate in those cases. And so our goal is to prevent those cases altogether. So the crash on Route 301 in Upper Marlboro remains an active investigation by the Maryland State Police. I want to thank Colonel Jackson, who is a Prince Georgian, and he loves serving the state, but I know he especially loves to be here in his home. Obviously, he would have loved to have been here for other reasons, but we appreciate the partnership we have with the Maryland State Police. And the crash last night on New Hampshire Avenue in Adelphi is being investigated by Prince George's County Police, and we have an excellent crash team here, and so we hope to get some answers in the near future. These tragedies remind us that every loss of life on our roads is a loss to the entire community. Oftentimes people think it could have been me. And it's true, it could be anyone. And that's why we're asking people to practice safe driving, as well as do things like put on your seatbelt. But it's not just you on the road, it's other drivers too. And so we have some messaging going out to everyone who's driving on roadways here in Prince George's County. Unfortunately, because of the number of roads we do have and the heavy traffic that's on the roads here in the county, that we experience historically a high number of crashes compared to other jurisdictions in Maryland. I am encouraged by the fact that crashes and fatalities have declined in recent years, but you know what? One crash is too many. One loss of life is too many. While progress has been made, our goal remains clear and uncompromising: 0 fatalities. No family should suffer the grief of losing a loved one on our roads. To reach this goal, my Department of Public Works and Transportation is leading the development of the Road to Zero Action Plan, a data-driven, community-informed strategy that will be released this fall. This plan is designed to prevent driving mistakes from resulting in death or serious injury. The Road to Zero Action Plan will outline 60 concrete actions developed in partnership with Vision Zero Action Group members representing more than 15 counties, state, regional, and municipal agencies. Those actions focus on 5 key areas: engineering, education, enforcement, emergency response, and technology. On the engineering side, we are planning changes that will include traffic calming measures such as speed bumps, improved with more visible signage, enhanced sidewalks, roundabouts, and improved roadway configurations. We will expand pedestrian and bicycle accommodations to improve safety, connectivity, and access. And that's what we will do here in Prince George's County. We know that many of our roads are state roads, and many of the roads where these fatalities occur are state roads. So we are working in close collaboration with State Highway and all of our partners there. We all want to bring that number to zero. That is our goal. In education, we will work to increase awareness about safe driving behaviors and safe walking and biking practices. In enforcement, we will continue targeted efforts to reduce dangerous driving behaviors. In emergency response, we will look to shorten response times and improve outcomes for crash victims. And in technology, we will deploy data-driven tools to identify high-risk locations and measure the impact of our interventions. This work will not belong to one single department. It will involve multiple agencies across my administration and our regional and state partners, including the Department of Public Works and Transportation, the Maryland Department of Transportation State Highway Administration, the Prince George's County Police Department, the Department of Health, Prince George's County Public Schools, the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, municipal governments, and many other regional partners. So this is a multi-agency approach to reducing fatalities. Only by coordinating across jurisdictions and disciplines can we make meaningful, sustained reductions in traffic fatalities. But infrastructure and policy can get us only but so far. We need every member of our community to do their part, and we need every driver who's coming through our community to do their part. You must drive without distraction. Slow down and obey the posted speed limits. Be mindful of road conditions and adjust your driving to weather conditions. Look out for children walking to and from school, people on bikes, and for pedestrians crossing our streets. Wear your seatbelt, something that's simple, but we have to remind people because in some cases, fatalities would not have occurred if individuals had worn their seatbelts. If you see dangerous behavior, report it. If you are a policymaker, planner, or community leader, join us in supporting these changes. We will share the Road to Zero action plan this fall, and we will move quickly to begin implementing the actions it outlines. I ask for your partnership and your vigilance. Together, government, community organizations, families, and most importantly, individual drivers, we can change the way that our roads function, and most importantly, we can save lives. I will now turn the mic over to our Chief of Police, George Nader. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam County Executive. Good afternoon, and to the members of the media, thank you so much for coming out because we want to get this message out to our communities because the reality is it's costing lives. One of the main things that we focused on when I took the seat and County Executive took her office was the preservation of life within Prince George's County. And oftentimes when we think of police departments, we think of that means reductions in homicides. but also we got to look at fatal accidents as well. And we got to do our part to try to reduce that. And we're really coming here today to appeal to our communities, because there's nothing that we can do to make them go away. There's nothing that we can do to change people's driving habits other than appeal to them and really ask them to do that. So I'll give you some of the things that are happening. Year to date, we've had 21 fatal accidents resulting in 23 deaths. That's down from last year, 25%, which equivalates to 7 lives. We have seen reductions over the past few years, but as the county executive said, 1 is too many. In 2022, we had 72 fatal crashes, and last year was one of our lower years when we had 51. That's 51 lives. One of the worst things that officers have to do, whether it be a homicide or a fatal crash, is go to someone's home in the middle of the night and tell them that they will never see their young one again. Oftentimes, the person involved in the accident that's fatal in Prince George's County ranges between 21 to 30 years old. So that's 24% of our fatal crashes. So we're appealing to everyone to please do your part. There's some things that we're going to talk to you about that can help us in this. There's no one thing the police department can do. There's no one thing the Department of Public Works can do. There's no one thing the county executive can do. It's all of us working together with our communities to change people's driving habits. And that's what we're aiming to do. I'll tell you that Friday nights and Saturday nights are when we're at most risk, between 6 to 12, 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. That's when the higher percentage of our accidents occur. With pedestrians, you have to use the crosswalk. Can't walk in the street. Oftentimes, our fatal accidents involving pedestrians involve impairment, and sometimes that impairment is the pedestrian putting themselves at risk. So if you're with somebody and they're impaired and you know they're going to walk home, walk with them, get them home. Call Uber, get them a ride, whatever you got to do to get them home. That's what we're asking for. Typically, like this year, we see a slight increase in spring and then a larger increase in the summer. So we're in those summer months and we're all coming together to come forward and say, please, it's controllable. These lives do not have to be lost. So we're asking for help. And I want to thank Public Works for coming out. I want to thank Maryland State Police for coming out. Deputy Chief Administrative Officer Powell for coming out and supporting us. I know that the county executive cares immensely about people, as do we all. So it's a project that we're going to work hard at, but it's something that we can't do alone. We've done strategic deployments, which has decreased some of our fatal accidents. Some of the things that I'm looking to increase, and I know it may not be the most popular thing, but automated enforcement within Prince George's County to be similar to some of our neighboring jurisdictions that have more automated enforcement. When I've looked at our statistics, regardless of the number of tickets we write, we see similar numbers in fatal crashes. So I don't think it's police officers writing tickets that are going to curb driving behaviors. Automated enforcement curbs driving behaviors. And that's what we're going to be targeting in some of our areas, to include stop sign cameras, additional speed cameras, and additional red light cameras. The real answer, though, is every driver adhering to some of the tips that the county executive gave, and I'll reiterate them. The most simple one is, please wear your seatbelt. When you're driving on the road, wear your seatbelt. This is to protect your own life. And when you have a passenger in the car, the passenger needs to wear their seatbelt. So many times we have accidents where one person had the seatbelt, the other one didn't. It's fatal for the one without. The one with the seatbelt walks away with minor injuries. So you have to buckle up every time you get in the car. Not sometimes. I'm just going to the store. Most accidents happen in a 2-mile radius of your home. So every time you get in the car, you have to wear your seatbelt, and you have to ensure that everybody in the car is buckled up. Car seats, make sure they're properly installed. If you need help installing a car seat, fire department, police officers, we can help. We'd love to. If some of the signs, if you pull on your child's car seat and it moves and it's loose, it's not in correctly. So we can help you with that. Just let us know. Speed limits, the other driving factor. People are driving too fast. Sometimes it's too fast for conditions. Sometimes it's too fast for any condition. So we do need people to abide by the speed limit and just slow down. Nothing is worth your life. If you have to get somewhere soon, quick, all right, nothing's worth your life. So don't put it at risk, and don't put other lives at risk. Distracted driving, another one. Listen, the texting and driving, the working the radio and driving, all of these things, you look down what you think is for a second, you look back up, going 50, 60 miles an hour, it could be fatal. So we need you to pay attention on the roads. Look out for pedestrians, as the county executive said, and definitely you have to drive sober. If you're drinking, don't drive. If you're using any type of substance, to include prescription medication, don't get behind the wheel. You know, I always tell people, if you want to go out drinking or you want to use substance, that's an adult game. So make adult decisions and arrange for somebody to drive you or get a ride share, whatever you have to do to get to and from, just don't get behind the wheel. So with that, I thank you guys for coming out, and please, for sharing the message with our communities. Literally, we could be saving lives. So I'll turn it over to Deputy Chief Administrative Officer Powell.
Thank you, Chief. I want to start by reiterating the condolences expressed by our County Executive, Brave Boy. We definitely understand that every accident, especially those accidents that result in the loss of life, is more than just a statistics. You know, we understand that there are family members, friends, and loved ones who have their lives changed in an instant. As the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Public Safety here in Prince George's County, the lion's share of my job involves ensuring that our public safety agencies have everything they need to ensure that our residents are safe. That's in the form of technology, whether we have support from our community, whether it be education, but new stop signs, but we're also good listeners. We understand that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and we'll never stop working until we've rectified all the problems that we face here regarding traffic issues here in Prince George's County. We know that our federal, our local, and then our state partners have a lot of resources that we're going to continue to collaborate with them as well. And we're going to make sure that we get this right. We want the family members to understand that we are here. We're going to offer support. Again, as when I mentioned that we're good listeners, we're going to come out. If you know of any roadway that is likely to cause accidents, whether they be fatal or minor accidents, we'll come out. We'll conduct traffic studies. We'll do what we need to do to make sure that our roads are safe. When I mentioned the fact that we're working in collaboration with our state and local partners, I want to introduce Colonel Jackson. He'll give a little bit more on the state level of what we're doing to make sure that the state of Maryland is safe in conjunction with Prince George's County. So, Colonel Jackson.
Thank you. Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to express my deepest condolences to the families and loved ones who have experienced unimaginable losses this week and at any time. No words can help to heal or help to ease the pain. As law enforcement, we're committed to protecting and providing for members of our community, and that translates to keeping our highways safe. We work 24/7 in an effort to put a stop to dangerous driving behaviors that affect all of us. Just 3 days ago, on Sunday, July 12th, troopers from College Park Barrack responded to a crash involving a vehicle and a motorcycle on Route 301 in Governor's Park Lane. 3 people tragically lost their lives there. Although the cause of this crash remains under investigation with our crash team, we cannot ignore the dangerous driving habits that continue to combat and plague us every day. The Maryland Department of State Police remains committed to providing safety to all who travel or work on our Maryland highways. We recently unveiled a new campaign along with Governor Moore and the Maryland Department of Transportation. Slow the fast down. Slow the fast down. I'm finally getting that. It was a little challenging to say initially, but it makes sense. That's just one of many. We're not going to stop with the messaging. We need you to help us with the messaging. When we're in our vehicles, we're listening to the radio, or we're listening to a podcast, or we're listening to whatever we're listening to. We turn on the TV, whatever we're listening to. There are messaging opportunities for us all over. We're increasing with our partners with the Department of Transportation to enhance the messaging that are on the signs on the highway. Oftentimes you may drive on the Beltway and traffic is slowing down, and you may check your phone. Don't do that. You may think about, how do I get off this roadway because there's going to be congestion here. What we're finding out is that folks are literally reading the signs that are flashing, whether it is amber, purple, silver alert, or whether it's about a crash, or whether it's about weather. Meaning, folks read the signs. They read the messaging. So we need for you to help us with the messaging. Speed, aggressive driving, impairment, and distraction remain leading causes of crashes we investigate. I'm not sure if you all are aware of the terminology that we have changed over the years. That terminology has gone from traffic accidents to traffic crashes. And the reason is simple. They are avoidable. They are avoidable. Distractions while you're driving is totally avoidable. Put those cell phones down. Make sure you have your mapping out. Have the voice on so it tells you where you need to go so you do not need to touch it. Do not pick the phones up until you get there. You can't enjoy the game, the family event, or anything else if you don't make it. Period. Ensure your young ones are seat belted or properly placed in their seats. Again, as the chief mentioned, you can stop by any firehouse or any law enforcement agency's station, and we will help you to make sure that those seats are properly in place in your vehicle. While we're working to keep things safe, we need for you to help us with the behavior. Each and every one of us is an example of it. Making sure we're seat belted properly, making sure we're driving the proper speed. There are numerous studies, and you'll hear more from the local our county highway public works folks, as well as the state highway folks. These roads are engineered for trafficking. We have a lot of traffic in our area. We're in the metropolitan area of Washington, a lot of traffic. Unfortunately, that means that we have a lot of incidents on our roadways, but we can prevent those together. We can't do it alone. We need everyone's help as we move forward. Maryland State Police is here to commit to Prince George's County, my home, as well as the entire state of Maryland, to continue over and over and over again to saturate our public on the proper behaviors when you're behind the wheel of a car. And also for our pedestrian and bike riding citizens as well. So I'm glad to be here to be a part of this effort. Again, we will continue to work toward 0 deaths along our highways. Thank you all very much.
My name is Oluseyi Olubenle, Deputy Acting Director now for the Department of Public Works and Transportation. I do just want to start off by thanking Madam County Executive for her nimbleness. She called me this morning and she understood the importance of this tragedy. So I want to thank the media as well for your quick response and getting out today. With the community's pain and concern in mind, our focus is now on working together for solutions. Route 301 and New Hampshire Avenue, the roads mentioned today earlier, owned and maintained by the Maryland Department of Transportation State Highway Administration. This distinction is important because it means that making meaningful changes on major corridors like these require close, sustained coordination between the county and state, and DPW&T is actively engaged at the table every day, working and advocating for the county's needs on these state roads. We meet quite frequently with the state in order to strengthen that partnership, and we've seen that partnership strengthen under the leadership of County Executive Braveboy. And that coordination is exactly why Prince George's County established its Vision Zero program our county executive spoke about. DPW&T has spent the last 2 years leading the development of Vision Zero Road to Zero Action Plan. The last plan was from 2020 to 2022, and we knew that we needed to get that out, but we wanted to get it right. County Executive Braveboy wanted us to get it right. And so many of the strategies in this plan are already underway. The county led spot improvements through the Neighborhood Traffic Management Program, also called NTMP, which implements traffic calming measures, including speed humps, signage, enhanced crosswalks, roundabouts, and advancing larger corridor level capital projects through our capital improvement program. This includes roadway reconfigurations, the expansion of pedestrian and bicycle facilities, some of which require joint action, quick action with the State Highway Administration on state routes like the ones involved in this week's crash. In fact, MDOT SHA has had a major safety investment underway on New Hampshire Avenue, a $15 million corridor project under construction. And I would also like to add that Madam County Executive also approved, and with the support of the County Council, added $14 million in appropriated funds to the capital improvement program specific to roadway safety. We are pairing that proven countermeasures like quick build projects, upgraded pavement markings, traffic, and pedestrian safety improvements alongside newer technologies like smart speed feedback signs and other data-driven safety tools is what we can do to work together. But none of this work, as you heard earlier, and I want to stress this, cannot be done alone with DPW&T, the county executive. It takes a multi-agency coordinated effort. As our county executive has said, it requires implementation across multiple agencies, each bringing their expertise to the table. That multi-agency commitment is what Road to Zero action plan is built on, and it's what will take us where we need to go. We want residents to know that their safety is our priority. We're not only talking about vehicular traffic, we're talking about vulnerable road users, right? Individuals with disabilities, our elderly population, our younger population. We care about you as well. And DPW&T stands ready to provide any information or support to expedite safety enhancements in Prince George's County roads. Thank you.
Very much. We're going to take some questions, but I first want to say that you have the county executive and among the top public safety officials in the state of Maryland. And we're appealing to you, and we thank you, the media, for being here today, because we cannot do this without you and your audience. Everybody basically said the same thing. Don't drive distracted, don't speed, don't drive on the shoulder of the road, and be responsible, drive defensively. Does anybody have any questions? Ms. Bass?
Yes, in these particular two crashes over the last 2 days, can you speak to what factors might have been at play here? Was it a distraction? Was it an impairment? Was it speeding? Can you speak to what contributed to these crashes?
Those crashes are still under investigation, so we really can't speak to that at this point. Alexis?
Thank you. So I've been talking to several neighbors who specifically live off the Crane Highway at the intersection of Governor's Park Lane. Since 2004, they've been pushing for a stoplight at that intersection. Do you guys support that movement? How do you feel? We've talked with at least 5 people today who have been involved in a crash at that intersection or have lost a loved one to a crash at that intersection. How do you feel about that?
So what I can say is that okay, no problem. We support any and all mechanisms that will save lives. And I think when we look at some of our state highways, we have to look at it in conjunction with the state itself. I know that Director Olabinle has been in contact with the State Highway Administration. I'm sure there has been some discussion. So if you want to talk about that.
Sure. I do want to stress the importance of the partnership with the state. And it's important also to understand who owns what and how the traffic engineering review process that works. I spoke to Administrator Will Pines, who's over the State Highway Administration at MDOT, and I'm going to bring this particular issue to his attention. I think just in general for residents to know, if it happens on a county roadway, there are a number of efforts that they can take. One is working with the county council member if there's a need for, the neighborhood traffic management program. So speed humps, rumble strips, hawk signs, things of that nature. If it involves the State Highway Administration, we also would like to know, and the way that they can reach out to us, DPW&T's website, we'd be happy to share that information with the state. We work and we meet quite frequently on those issues, but particular to that intersection, I would like to take that up with the state and also follow up with them.
And if you have the residents' information, if you could share that with us, because we would love to include the residents in the discussion. I think oftentimes we might look, or sometimes the engineers will look at a roadway one way, but how the residents experience it may be very different. And having that real, like, human understanding of what they're facing daily, I think is very instructive. It instructs us at the local level, and I'm sure that the state wants that input as well. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
And I would like to just address your question a little bit to give you an explanation why a fatal crash is such a complex investigation. It's a complex because there's mathematical formulas that have to be done based off measurements of the scene, measurements of any evidence there. There has to be downloads of what happened in the vehicle prior to the crash. We look at cell phone data, and then at times we have to wait for toxicology to come back, and that can take quite a while. You know, we look at what the toxicology of the drivers and the persons involved. So it is an incredibly complex investigation, one of the most complex investigations within law enforcement. So that's sometimes why it takes quite a while to come out with a determination. Yes, ma'am.
Darcy?
Yeah, I understand two different jurisdictions are investigating the two different fatal crashes, so state police one and Georgia. But I do feel it would be helpful in this context to say if speed is a contributing factor, you know, because you're trying to push messages, but we don't know if it applies to either of these cases. So, and I know Maryland State Police does it. To say whether speed or alcohol appear to be factors, or whether stolen vehicle was involved. Sometimes that information is provided. And just another follow-up is about changing behavior. We've been reporting sadly on fatal crashes, all the different efforts with technology, speed cameras, 10. But what is it going to take to change behavior? I know it's a hard question, but
A lot of education and a lot of understanding, and honestly, it's a lot of messaging, not just from government, but just in households, in our schools. I mean, we'll do all that we can, right? We're going to take every effort that we can take, but ultimately, human beings have a right to self-determination, right? Innately, they determine what they're going to do. And if they want to speed, they'll speed. If they don't want to put on their seatbelt, they don't put on their seatbelt. Now, we can enforce the law. We can ensure that they have the right messaging. But if people make their own independent decision and judgment, I don't know how you prevent that. So I don't think there's a right answer to that, but we can continue to send the right messages. What I will say is that there are accidents every single day that don't result in a fatality. So things like speeding is one of the leading causes of crashes, not accidents, right? Crashes that may not result in a fatality. So it may not get to the level of having a press conference about it, but it still impacts families, it impacts the individuals who are involved. So absolutely, speed is always always a leading cause. Impairment is always a leading cause. And individuals who don't wear their seatbelts are always more at risk than individuals who wear their seatbelts. So those are some general, kind of things that we understand and know in law enforcement and in public safety. With respect to these two incidents from this week, I don't know how much you can share at this time.
I'll say a couple of things. I think it's very important for us to make sure when we do put out information that it's the correct information. When they're in any type of crash, because we have folks have to be brought before the justice system. So we need to be very careful with that. I would like to always say that most habits start at home. Those are the learned behaviors. They're behaviors that, my son or my grandchildren see me when I get behind the wheel. If I'm not exhibiting safe behavior, what's going to happen when they begin to drive? They're going to do it. We've survived that moment. We just have to be cognizant to ensure that we're having those conversations at home, that we're speaking to being safe and getting to and from where you're going, being focusing on the road, not putting too many people in a car that will lead to distractions. These are our summer months, and we are feverishly trying to get the message out to remind folks. Be very careful on the roadway. That is a 3,000 plus projectile that you're behind the wheel of. And you take your eye off that road for a couple of seconds to look at your texts on your phone, you are almost 100 yards down the road. 100 yards. Think about that. A lot of things between you and that distance. And you have no idea what's in front of you because you're not paying attention. So we will give you the information as soon as we have it. We do a great job of putting that information out. But we want to make sure we get that information right. So thank you.
I have two quick questions for Madam County Executive and a quick question for the Chief as well. You started off talking about your previous role as a prosecutor, prosecuting some of these cases and the difficulties there. I noticed Ms. Jackson is not here, but is her office a part of this coordination effort?
Oh,
And
100%.
specific policy considerations in enforcement, like taking a hard line on pleading down reckless driving cases and things like that, that are being considered here?
And let me just say this: we have a very close and very good working relationship with the state's attorney's office. We are all consistent when we talk about the importance of enforcement. And State's Attorney Jackson is a longtime prosecutor, so she's prosecuted every type of case. She understands the importance of these cases. At this time, the cases have not been charged. There's still a investigation that needs to be completed to determine whether or not criminal charges would be appropriate in this case. The reason why oftentimes it's difficult to make those decisions, well, first of all, you can't make them early because you may make the wrong decision, is you have to determine whether or not the individual who was at fault, whether their behavior rises to the level of criminality, and then what type. Is it grossly negligent? Is it criminally negligent? So those are, again, really tough considerations. And then you have to have the proof, again, beyond a reasonable doubt when you go to court. And so that's why the accident reconstructions are so critically important, and those reports are important. But I think I can speak, I hate to speak for anyone, but I can tell you that in speaking with her in her previous role, when she was acting county executive, and certainly in her current role, that her belief is that, preservation of life has to be at the forefront of everything that we do as law enforcement, and that she doesn't mind sending that strong message in the courtroom.
You mentioned as part of just a quick follow-up, this interagency effort, part of the goal is reducing response times. Has there been an assessment of the response times in recent crashes and whether a reduced response time would have made a material difference in the outcome? Any concrete examples there?
When you say response time to the accident scene?
Yes, she's saying, I believe that was one of the goals of the 5 policy goals that you stated as one of the priorities for this cross-agency effort.
I'm not aware that a response time would have made a difference in any of these instances. Typically, response time to a serious accident is not enormous. I haven't looked at it specifically, but I have not heard of any cases that have.
Those are just
led to
general
that.
goals. Right, let me just chime in
Yes,
really
yes, yes, ma'am.
quickly. I think you're referring to the emergency response category in the Vision Zero action plan. And the reason why we included that is to look exactly at that. Response time to crashes, the types of injuries that we're seeing, whether it's pedestrians, vehicular traffic, and that leads us to understanding the engineering side. So then we couple that with the traffic engineering studies and evaluation to see what do the roadway configurations need to look like, what does the police need to do or EMS, what policies and procedures do they need to change, which is why it's a multi-agency effort.
And Chief, you mentioned the need for these automated enforcement mechanisms. A lot of jurisdictions across the country are trying to figure this out, that the tickets and out don't make a material difference in fatal crashes. While you're considering that, a lot of police departments across the country are also facing real backlash about privacy concerns. LAPD just sued Black Cameras with their automated enforcement. Is there somebody, a part of this task force and enforcement effort, that's considering those privacy issues? And is that on your radar?
I have not considered the privacy issues. My goal is to reduce fatalities and preserve life. The state of Maryland has very strict laws when it comes to privacy as to how long we can hold data and how long we can retain data. We adhere to those, and all of our, which flock would be the license plate readers, fall under that auspice. So we're in line, and the state oversees that through the Maryland Joint Crime Analysis Center. So I don't think it's a major issue for us.
In closing, and you can talk to them after we close off, but I want to thank you all for coming. And in closing, I will tell you that I talk to most of you every single day on many different issues. And I received an email from our collision analysis reconstruction unit who investigates these crashes. And what was said to me was that a number of these fatalities would have been prevented had people worn their seatbelts. Everybody up here said it once, at least. That is so important. Wear your seatbelts. Thank you all for coming.